This is the most recent one, that's why.
Oh, it's in the signing thing.
Yeah, there should be two from that. One's an old one that we already took care of.
This WEX, is that their fuel, that they're gonna get their fuel, this WEX?
Yes.
Can you pass?
Maybe we get these also. Yep, they're on this side. It's 6:30, we'll call the, no, it's not, 6:27. I have one more.
This clock is.
I'll hold on to this one. All
All
right. All right, it is 6:30. We will follow the order of the August 6th meeting of the Rollinsford Select Board. First order of business is approval of the July 30th minutes. Are there any edits, corrections, additions? By consensus, the July 30th, 2018 minutes are approved. Community input. You were here first, sir, I believe. You want to come up?
Yes, I do.
You want to come right up, sir?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sure. I'm assuming you wanted to talk to the select board. Yeah, come right up.
Yeah, I'm here to inquire about, I just had my house reassessed again with the rest of the town.
Yep.
This is the third time I've gone through the abatement process
Yep.
over 21 years.
Okay.
The last time they dropped it after by about 150,000.
Okay.
Time before by about 100,000.
Okay.
I was hoping I could sit down with Avatar and try to figure out why we're so far off in the assessment.
Okay.
They're about $212,000 higher than they were in my last assessment.
Okay.
And again, they did a very detailed assessment the last time, where they just did a drive-by this time.
Did you file one? You haven't filed
I
an
did.
abatement yet?
I did.
You did? Oh,
And you
okay.
denied, and you denied it.
Oh, okay.
Did you get the letter?
We did, we just got it.
Okay, 'cause
Okay.
that was their reason, that was Avatar's reason.
That would have
why
been the
it was
reason
denied.
why.
But they didn't have a reason. They said there was no particular reason. They compared it with houses in Woods Run.
Okay.
And the houses that they compared it with were $200,000 cheaper. When Woods Run and Roberts Farm are two different animals. So the comparison wasn't accurate. And I think there's something really wrong here because it's 34% higher than it was the last time they did a detailed on-site audit of the facility. And nothing's changed.
Alright, so, I'll take down your name. What's your name, sir?
John Lavin. I did talk to Avatar briefly in December,
Okay.
and a young gentleman said that, he said the pond looked different. And I tried to explain to him, it's not waterfront, it's a fire pond for the development.
Mhm.
So if anything, there should be a credit there, not a extra charge. So I tried to explain it, but I think he still continued with the land piece. And then he made a comment that I could put apartments because it's such a big house, but I don't have apartments. We had little places for our kids where they're going to college, but we don't rent to anybody. It's myself and my wife. And again, so that comment really doesn't mean anything. It
What's,
seems-
what's your address, Mr. Watson?
31 Moses Scott.
Why don't you write that, I don't want you to have to announce your phone number on the video again, why don't you write that down for me, please? Let's see if we can get someone from Avatar to give you a call back and
That's
have a
what they,
conversation.
well, that's what they did the last 2 times. They came out and sat down with me and I kind of went through everything with them.
Uh-huh.
Last time I had you listed as two swimming pools and double the square footage, and they did a walkthrough. And this time they came back out and they went right through it thoroughly, and they cleaned it all up.
Okay,
And then it looks like we just went back to where we were before.
okay, so let us reach out to Avatar and see what the next step may be with them.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm willing to meet with them and do whatever we need to do to avoid anything else.
I believe we're past the abatement period for this year. The deadline was, let me have a tax
You
collector.
file an abatement. The
You
next-
did file, oh,
the
I'm sorry, you
Yeah.
know what, we've already just talked about that and I've already
It's
forgotten,
an
I'm sorry.
appeal, he has to
Keep
file.
appealing
for
the
You'll be
it.
filing an
Correct.
appeal,
The
so let
results, okay.
me
Yes.
reach out to Avatar, or I will reach out to Avatar and see what the next step may be, if they may be contacting you directly
Okay.
or how we have to proceed, but we'll follow up
Is
on
there a
it. but-
formal appeal
There is
process?
a formal appeal process,
Did you do
and that was noted.
So the appeal
Between the New Hampshire, the state of New Hampshire?
yeah, and if I do follow that, then I have to bring lawyers in and everything. I'm hoping I can resolve this with Avatar.
Oh, but there's no formal with Avatar appealing?
There's
the
no,
decision?
No.
the
Okay.
next step is the.
To go to the state, I believe.
Oh.
the tax-
That's where I have to
Tax
get lawyers
and-
involved. And, last time we were able to sit down and rationalize what it was really worth. And they made quite a few concessions after they figured out, again, doing a drive-by in $1 million house, you can't assess it fairly, I don't think.
Okay, well, we'll follow up with them and we'll let you know what they believe the next step is.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you for your time. You have a 6:30 appointment, right?
I was on the agenda.
For 6:30, okay. Why don't you come on up? And then Liz, are you here for the board too? Okay. Well, I don't,
Should be quick.
all right, so we have asked you here in your capacity as tax collector to review your suggestion that we eliminate the residence tax and the inventories, the state inventories. And so I think we had a couple of questions, and it's been a while now since you sent the original email, so I apologize. But we had a few concerns about lost revenue potentially, and whether or not information was lost, that sort of thing. So why don't we, do you want to, I know you had a number of questions. Do you
Well,
want
I
to
just
start?
think
or-
that maybe she should just plead your case of why you think it should go
Well,
away.
it actually isn't my case. I mean,
Well, you brought it forward.
we are only one of 2 communities left within the state of New Hampshire. The state is 259 town cities and unincorporated townships, 1 of 2.
Right.
I think that speaks for itself, personally. It's an antiquated revenue stream. If you'd like to sit in our office on any day or any number of days, it's a thorn in residents' sides. And that is basically, it's trying to get blood from the stone, is how residents feel about resident tax. It's not a good way to collect revenue.
Do you have a recommended source to make up the loss of those funds though? I know it's not the largest line in our revenue
It's
stream.
really
but-
not, and you know, if you take the warrant number and reduce by the abatements that come, the warrant, I wanna say, let's see, the warrant for 2017 was $16,630.
Okay.
We
What did we
abate
actually
approximately, yeah, we collect approximately half of that.
Okay,
So, who's paying the other half? That I don't know, I don't do the budgets here, so I don't know what portion of this revenue you folks include in the line item.
Right,
So if it, you know, if it is being collected, it's being collected by taxpayers anyway.
okay,
It's just a hidden.
right.
So if you think you're collecting 16 and we're only collecting 9, someone's making up the difference, and I assume it's property owners.
The residence tax, the warrant is for 16,000+.
Yeah, I mean, it's however many folks are in the database times the $10. So this year it was 16,630.
So how come we cannot collect it all if they can't register their car without paying it?
People don't all register vehicles here. It's the former head and poll tax, and then they changed it to the resident tax. So not every inhabitant of the town comes in and proves themselves as a resident. We have a huge population of people here that we don't even know about.
More than half is not paying it or not registering vehicles?
Correct. Or they move before they're due.
Some of them turn 65 during the year. And then
They
don't
come
have
off
to pay.
anyway, yeah.
Okay, so.
And there are people that come in and
And some
just,
turn 18 and then get
Right.
cars. So,
Right,
I mean,
well, yeah,
it's gonna be
sure.
a wash
Sure,
somewhere
so
along the
I
line.
get that. So, the other item is the inventories.
right.
We collect, what is it, it's due on tax day, right, on the 15th of April, I
That's,
think.
yeah, that comes due on the 15th, and the penalties are punitive penalties.
Right.
None of the data in the form is utilized for any purpose here at Rollins.
What do we do with the penalty, with the forms once we collect them? Honestly, what do we do with them?
They sit in Caroline's office,
We don't.
and I think they're thrown away at some point.
They moved upstairs.
Oh,
They
they're
moved
moved upstairs.
All right. The state probably requires we keep them for X amount of
There
years.
could be a requirement for so many years, probably 7 years.
So how is that information collected, and then if we don't, captured if we don't have to enter it in off the inventories? Is through building permits, or?
There is no information. I mean, again, as a property owner, you can choose to include that you've done improvements
don't.
or not include it, and more often than not, it's not included. You can choose to say you're renting a room in your house or not. So it really is, it's an honor system. You know, there are people, when it had dog information, there were people that would include dogs, there were people that wouldn't include dogs.
Did the state take that off?
They did.
Okay, so that really was the only,
That was the
Thing we
only
were using it
piece,
for?
right, and that was taken off 2 years ago.
okay.
But wasn't it, when you were listing the household members and the children in there, wasn't that utilized for the school system?
Many years ago.
And why did they stop?
You'd have to ask the school, I don't know.
Well, why don't we just send it to them?
They don't utilize the information. I mean, you can look at the forms,
I fill it out every year. I know what it looks like.
but half the people don't include the information. They're blank, they're signed. They check off a couple boxes and they sign it and send it back, so.
Do you know off the top of your head what we collect in penalties for people that forget to spend them in?
I want to say it's right around 10,000.
So we're collecting revenue because people forget to.
Pretty much,
Sorry,
it is strictly punitive. And it's anywhere from 10 to 50, depending on the assessed value of the home.
Okay. All right. Are there other questions? Okay. I think we're clearer on the inventories, well, the information at least, okay. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions about residence tax. How many, maybe you may not know, how many residents would you say are 65 or older that don't actually have to pay the residence tax any longer?
There's no way to know. We don't have that
You don't keep track of
information.
that.
Right, you know,
Once you're off, you're off.
once you're off, you're gone, yeah.
And we don't use it for, to keep track of, sort of more the transient population, like
It
people in
doesn't
apartments or anything?
define who is an owner and who is a
Right,
renter, so
okay.
it's names and addresses.
And that's it.
And that's it. So it's not something that we could really even utilize to say who is a renter here
Okay.
in town, so.
All right. And the
You know,
the
it-
inventories as well, so.
Exactly.
Property owner, so.
Yeah, and most of the time the inventories, again, they're not completed.
Do you have any other questions? All right. well,
The
let's-
resident taxes can be done away with by warrant article. I wanted to make you folks aware of that as well. Some people have commented that, well, we'll just start a petition and we'll have it taken off. They say that every year and it's hasn't happened, so.
All right, well, fair enough.
Yeah, so whether or not this is the year that it happens, who knows?
All right. I don't have any other questions. What's that?
Takes it apart.
Yeah, if they actually do it, so.
It just really is just a thorn in everyone's side when they come in and have to pay a resident tax. And, you know, and to come in and do business here at the town of Rollinsford, I don't think that we should be trying to aggravate folks. If we can eliminate something that is just a cause of,
I got you. Okay. So we will, I think we just needed to have that conversation with you and understand what the rationale is behind some of the suggestions, that's all.
yeah. And you may want to speak to Tom, to the auditor, because I know he would support doing away with it. He, in the last couple of years, has said that we should do away with it. Because I'm not sure what portion of the audit that, you know, we're paying to have him try to do that for resident taxes, but it is a difficult thing to audit, so I'm sure it's significant.
I don't have any other questions. You have any other questions? Thank you.
Terrific.
Appreciate it, and have a good night. See ya. Oh, well, this is a public,
Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry, I thought you were here.
this is our new road, well, not so new anymore, our newish road agent, George Clement.
Oh, I don't think I've seen you outside of your truck. Well, I'm here to request a letter on Rollinsford letterhead that states that I am a resident of the town of Rollinsford. I brought a copy of our cable bill, a copy of my Eversource bill.
Right?
I understand that my taxes don't verify that I'm a resident.
Oh, that's true.
And, yeah, and unless I could find my little resident, you know, little thing you get back when you pay resident tax, unless I could find that, there wasn't gonna be any way to get verification. So I just wondered if that were something that someone could write up for me. And let me, and I actually will tell you, I think it should be a moot point, but the reason I need that is
Before you
because-
tell me why you need it, I think, and you should tell us, but I think that the only person that can verify residence or residency is the town clerk. So I don't think the select board can write a letter. So,
Okay.
but go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead and
Well,
tell
if
us
you're
why you
saying
need
that I could take these papers to the town clerk and get a letter, because my understanding is from Marshwood School District, in order to register a child, if you live in Rollinsford, to register your child, you must have a letter from the town on the town letterhead that says that you are a resident. Now, this is the first child that I'm registering since the Marshwood Agreement has been in place.
Right.
I do not know if everybody else in town that has had children go to Marshwood have needed that. I've been going round and round, and today
Yeah.
was not a helpful day in this building, so my next thought was to just have a letter that says, this person is a resident. Marshwood stuff says if you live in Elliott or South Berwick, you can take in a bill, but they pulled out something from the town of Rollinsford that said, I need a letter
Weird.
verifying.
I know when I registered
I'm
for
a
Elizabeth, I mean, but it was at the grade school, we had to prove residency, and we just had to bring a copy of a bill and a copy of our mortgage, actually.
They told me
A
today.
mortgage statement that said we,
Well, the ladies there today, after telling me last week all I needed was a tax bill, told me today that what I needed was a letter from the town of Rollinsford saying that Zoe Mickle,
Yeah.
I know
yeah,
some
okay,
people
yeah.
in town know,
Yeah,
is living with us.
Yeah.
And we have guardianship, and we
Yeah.
want to register her for school.
right.
And they told me that I need that letter.
Huh, well,
Now,
that's
SAU
bizarre.
56 can't help you?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
I
ask.
have no idea.
Well,
I,
SAU 56 is still responsible for K
Yeah.
to 12. So if you brought those forms to the SAU office, they should be able to verify that you have supported, that you live in Rollins. This child didn't go to school in the Rollinsford district?
she did a couple of years ago, but she's come from Oklahoma.
Okay, so
That's
she's
her
come
last
out
school
and then
district.
she's going in?
Yes.
Okay, and so
she's
you have
guardianship.
well, whatever, okay. So I would try the SAU office. I
Okay.
would talk to Katie Kraus, who is now the
Now
business.
just write her
She's
name,
now the
please.
business administrator. Now, the new superintendent just started, so I'm not quite sure he would probably consult with Katie, because she's been there the longest.
Thank you.
But I would call the SAU office tomorrow and talk to Katie and find out what has to be done to get your child in there. And if you just have to bring those, maybe they need just phone call to
Okay.
the office in, it's not an SAU, it's a SAD or something, whatever.
Sad,
it is.
man.
Superintendent's
Yeah.
office.
Yeah,
Right.
and they should, one-on-one, superintendent saying, yeah, she's clear, I don't understand this, I really don't.
I don't know,
I've never
maybe it's
heard
a
of
rule
that.
that Maine
This
has,
is a
you have to
school of
provide the
choice.
Well,
letter,
they
so.
said it was from the town of Rollinsford.
Because I honestly, when I registered our dog, we didn't have to do that. I mean, I know it was to go to the grade
I
school,
can't
but
imagine all those kids that are going
No, I
to
don't
middle
think so
school and
either.
high
Have to do
school,
that.
parents have
Yeah.
done
I
that.
don't think so
can't
either. First of all, I'm sorry you had a problem today
Me
if you
too.
did. But I do think that the next, honestly, you should probably call the SAU.
Yeah.
Which
Because they handle.
I'm happy to do
all
that. I
that
started
stuff, right?
here and that was a suggestion.
Yep, so
All
I
right,
would do,
sorry about
yeah,
that.
and
But I
so-
know, I think someone else asked us something about residency last year maybe, and it was the town clerk, we looked at, was the only person that can,
But that
it was
wasn't
about
to register in school, was
it
it?
was register a car.
Yeah, see,
But I mean, still, I mean, it was, how do you declare residency? We aren't
Right.
allowed to do
Well, and
it,
I know
so-
that little slip, it's ironic that I just overheard
yeah.
conversation about
Right.
getting rid of that residency thing, because I was told today, if I didn't have that, there was no way to know that I was a resident of Rollinsford.
Well, you couldn't look it up that you paid.
It was not a pleasant conversation
All right, well,
at
sorry
all.
about that.
I'm
I
sorry,
would bring,
was-
I'd bring your tax bill as well, just to prove
I
it's
will,
okay?
yeah.
And a photo ID,
I have my photo ID.
and I think it's so you can help you, I
Okay,
do.
thank you.
And
If they
your
don't let me
bill,
know.
too. I mean, bring the, whatever, is that like?
Yep, yep, and
No, but I
actually-
mean, to show that you actually live in the town. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, I got
Yeah.
cable bill,
Yeah.
and
Bring all three of them. and
that's what they
photo
said, I
ID.
mean, you could own the property and be renting, but.
Well, right, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's, because I knew the principal and she knew who I was, and I still had to prove, you know, that's the rule.
Oh,
I had to
yeah,
prove.
yeah, no, that's fine,
You
that's
live here,
fine,
but,
but I went home and looked for that little
Yeah,
tag,
so I could
and
always find it, yeah.
I could not
It's
find it.
here.
somewhere here.
Well,
They have it here.
that was,
It's
that
on
Okay.
the file.
was
All
gonna
right.
be,
Thank you, sorry about that, Lisa.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay,
Have a
thank
good
you.
one.
You too. Any other community input? All right, so, seeing no other community, come on up. Highway.
You got the email I sent you, no plan.
Yes, about Oak Street?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about Oak Street. If that's what you want to do.
I don't have anything to purchase tonight.
Okay,
No, I just want to come in, I wanted to know if you had questions.
all right,
There is
so,
money in the road budget, and
Yeah.
I think it's a smart thing to do.
Now, the 20,000 that's left over after the said and done,
It's still,
is that gonna cover everything else that we've already talked about?
Yeah.
Was that removed first, and then that's 20 more is left, or is it what you
no,
have
no,
to do?
I took 4 out of that already.
Okay.
And it won't, it's not gonna be maybe another 4.
okay, so the city of Dover wants to do an overlay and what else?
Shim and overlay. That's
Shim
all
and
they're
overlay
gonna
on
do
Oak
to
Street?
buy it 3 to 5 years on that road.
Okay.
And
So-
that goes from Route 4 to Broadway.
Yep.
And what do they do with the bridge?
We can't do anything. on the
It's
bridge.
still
It's gonna
going to be the wood, okay.
The wooden plank that Dover insisted on last time. Okey-dokey.
That's another issue, that's gonna be coming down the road.
They did fix the big one, the big hole in it.
They did, yeah, I
they
saw
did,
that,
so
yeah.
must have-
Oh,
So-
they're replacing planks as needed.
Yeah.
So how much, George, is it that Dover is suggesting we pay? I saw your email right in the first one, so.
Could you forward me that?
Yeah, I. Oh. You want it for the,
No, I'd like it from the minutes.
for the minutes.
It's-
She-
it's
no, but
Well, I
she
know,
does it
but
electronically, so it
electronic.
sticks in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. All right, so hold on, let me
All right.
figure out email. Okay, so go ahead.
All right, I got 30, according to Caroline, I got 32,856 left in road money. Subtract 4,000 that you guys gave me the PO for last week.
Yep,
Our share for Dover is $12,212.50.
12,000,
$212.50.
okay.
Would leave us $20,643 to finish up these other projects. And then an extra in case something comes up.
So, I know you were, we have money in the culvert fund for to do the culvert, part of the culvert on Sligo if we need to, how are we?
I honestly don't believe we're gonna touch it this year.
Okay.
It's, the rain is proven again to make it through
Very
without,
dramatic the other day, so, okay.
without any issues. I'm gonna see about getting the fire truck down there again, see if I can clear it. There's only a small section of gravel in there right now, and if we can see what the rest of that drop looks like.
So it's your suggestion then that we would go ahead and do Oak Street?
I would definitely do Oak Street, because if we don't, we'll be there in the middle of winter paving again. And I really don't want to pave anymore.
On our side though,
Our
their
side.
side's gonna be fine.
Right, their side will be down at our side.
No, actually, well, he told me, he said, we'll be out here together doing this if we don't do something this year.
Right,
Oh, I know, but they're gonna go ahead and do theirs. They're not gonna do it if we don't come.
If we don't
Go
do our
forward.
half, they're not doing it.
Oh, okay.
and the trucks are gonna be out there this week to do it?
They're in Dover paving, and that's why the price is as good as it is, because they're in town.
Doing other work, okay. All right, well, if you feel that we can make it
I
work
think it's a
within
nice
your
opportunity.
existing budget,
It's
paving,
a nice opportunity to
and
get
it's
that.
certainly excuse me, a road that the residents have complained about daily for the last couple of years, so. Okay. Do you have a,
I can do a PO, I don't know if they're gonna bill you, how that works. Check them all.
so why don't we
So you're just
do
looking for the
this?
blessing and
Why
then
don't
you're
we-
gonna follow up.
I'm going to the meeting tomorrow on Oak Street.
Oh, no.
Okay, so we need some answers to
Okay, so, why don't we,
What's the meeting
why
tomorrow
don't
in
we,
Dover?
so tomorrow we're meeting with, the old Belanger.
And John Storer.
And
Okay.
Store to discuss Oak Street.
Oh.
And going forward, what the MOU or MAU will look like for maintenance, so.
Okay.
And they're on paving now. All right, so to make it official, why don't we have a motion to move forward with paying the Rollinsford half to finish Oak Street or shim and overlay for Oak Street with a purchase order to follow once we're built.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we proceed with the paving on Oak Street, and George will follow up with a PO.
Second.
Some answers.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, George, well, we've got approval to move forward with that, and then we'll have more answers tomorrow after our meeting, when the billing and all that will happen. We have a letter that's been drafted, it hasn't been printed yet, I don't believe, to Mr. Massey about the transfer station. Is it in that folder by any chance? You're aware of what the individual is,
Oh,
and all the
okay, yeah.
employees down there are aware, so that's not an issue, right?
I
So
don't think we're gonna see him again.
I don't either, but there are certain people that think we should send this letter, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's right here. Oh, you're just saying, yeah, it's here, it's printed.
All right, does it have your edit? You had an edit, I think, didn't you? I guess you
No, it
didn't.
doesn't.
All right, then we're not gonna sign it.
Yeah.
Your edit was,
Qualifying.
well, right, thank you. Typing it quickly at work
Yeah.
today, so. All right, so we're gonna hold off on when we send that, but all the employees are aware of,
Yeah.
to look out for that. The other issue is Foundry Street, on the Silver
Yeah.
Street end.
I saw that on, Rollinsford,
Yeah, I saw it too.
on the Facebook,
Yeah.
and I did note on there that we are working with Pike. Pike is aware of it, because I made them aware of it when I first started.
Right, so they're aware of it and they're
And-
handling it?
They are gonna have to show them in Southville.
Yeah.
Come over and grind that and pave that, and they're gonna actually fix the corner of Sligo where they turned in and goes to my
At no cost to us.
No cost to the town.
All right, perfect,
That's
thanks, George.
been taken care of.
Happy to hear that.
I actually followed up with Chris today, I'm waiting to hear back from him,
Okay,
so
awesome.
we can get this moving before winter shows up.
Awesome. Very good, that makes us all very happy. Is there anything else for us tonight?
Is there anything on the transfer station? I do,
I don't have anything. here.
somebody signed the PO, I mean the quote from Atlantic. They gave it back to Caroline to get
It's
it
behind
signed.
here.
Well, let's see if it's in there.
They signed, you signed the purchase order, but he wanted the quote signed also. He did sign the purchase order.
He signed what we wanted, so. send them to me, or if it's not there, I might get a green folder too. Okay, so, oh, I see, yeah, no, yeah. It's helpful to sign on the bottom there, isn't it? Come on. So this is, make sure it matches.
That's what we have to sign, the bottom section. Give us a copy, because he scanned it back to me, so that's why it's on the top.
So this is what so this is a different amount though, that's on the purchase order. So it comes out to,
Yeah, I wanted to get the building out.
so it's, you said it was 6 months?
It's 4 and remaining 3.
3 or 2 and a half. I think it's 3.
Okay. Make sure.
George?
All three of them, Mr. Chairman? Make sure we're not signing something different than what we agreed to last week. All right, perfect. Do you want to take this? Good, or-
Yeah,
or-
if I can go back, I'll give you the other half of the people.
Did that have to go back to Caroline?
I'll give it the rest of
No? Okay.
Okay, perfect. Anything else for us, George?
it.
Anything else for George? All right, thank you.
Okay.
Any other department heads? Mr. Lowry? Did you need us, Nelson, or
Just a minute, that's fine.
we'll move right along? We already dealt with the tax collector, so we can cross that off. Building inspector is not expected rather, in this evening. Fire and police may be in. We'll hold off. So,
Right, no, I know that,
we will move on to town administration. So the first order of business under town administration was the vacancy that was caused by the resignation of our chair. So, we need to, in my opinion, we need to replace that person. So I would suggest we put a call out via our normal sources, which would be the town-wide website and post at the post office and here at town hall and the library. The select board is looking for a replacement member, and if you would like to be that replacement member, to send a letter of interest to the select board, and then we can start interviewing candidates as soon as we get them. It's left to the select board to decide whether or not they want to fill the vacancy and to whom it gets filled by, and if we don't like the candidates, we don't actually have to choose any of them, just because we get 100 people, if we don't think that's the right person, we don't have to pick them, so, one of the few powers the legislature gives us, that and to pay roads, minor things like that. So, are you okay with that plan?
Yep, that's fine. We do have one person who's already showed interest, you know that, right?
Okay.
Dunsberg.
Oh, okay, well, he should submit his name.
Dennisburg.
He should submit his name along
Possibly
with
another one.
anybody else who would like to. So we'll send out,
I think we should go.
we'll have, add that to our list of things we need to take care of tomorrow. Townwide notice of select board vacancy. All right, Nelson, come on up, please.
These ladies were here before me.
Now-
Permanent resident,
We're
permanent
permanent.
resident, sorry, I said ladies, or didn't mean to do that. The road agent has kindly returned to me. I just wanted to express my concern about the state of the Church Street grade crossing. It's dangerous. It's worse when you come back out than when you go in. There's a crevasse forming betwixt the pavement and the track. And that could have an effect on the width of the track, and you could have a derailment there in the middle of good old downtown Salmon Falls.
All right.
I've wanted to come in for the last 5 weeks, but
That came in now. We'll take it up with the road agent and the railroad.
Is this what Ed was talking about, George?
No, he wants to, we want to change the stop sign.
Oh, it's just
This
the
is
stop
something
sign.
different.
This is-
No,
this is-
actually, I stopped and talked to the guys from the railroad last week.
you
about the
may
same
want to go and
situation.
eyeball it.
But is it town or railroad?
Railroad owns that, so
So
I
they
don't know
have to
what
do
the.
it?
Okay, so we would need to send a letter to the railroad? Okay.
Well,
I think
phone
we're gonna
call
have
would be
to-
better. It's not good.
Yeah.
I spoke with the railroad last week and he said, good luck. I said, really? He
Okay.
said, when the train comes over this, we can actually see the water coming out of the ground underneath it, so it's gonna have to be rebuilt. But they railroad owns that, not us.
If the water's in there during the winter, it's going to freeze and it's going to exacerbate the problem.
That big chunk of hot top that was moved because the train settled in and pushed the hot top with the bottom of the train. So they know there's an issue there.
Okay, but it's their crossing, they need to deal with it?
I would think it's their property. We don't do grade crossings.
If you get a derailment, it'll be your problem.
Amen. Thank you, Malcolm.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we'll just, yeah.
We will
Nice meeting.
pursue it, we appreciate it. All right,
I was gonna bring that up to the transportation safety too.
that would be a good idea. You can leave it open, Nelson, I'm sorry, thank you.
Okay, now that I'm gone, we can leave it open.
Well, it was a little hard to hear, sorry.
Yeah.
You'll bring it up to the transportation.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a meeting next, he's trying to schedule a meeting for this month.
Perfect, okay.
And I will bring that crossing up because, yeah, it's down a couple inches. We're gonna hit it with a plow.
Okay.
And
Good
it's moving and they, I said to him, I says, he said, well, you're gonna have to notify the railroad. He said, well, good luck. I said, what do you mean, good luck? He said, well, they don't like spending money on stuff like this. I said, oh, well, somebody's gonna be spending some money on it.
Right.
Didn't they just rebuild that? I mean, it's probably longer than I think, but
I don't remember what it
within the
is.
last 10 years, right?
Yeah, probably.
I would think. I'm
Well, if
sorry.
they're running trains over that at 60 miles an hour, they
Well,
probably
that's
ought to be
true.
fixing it.
That's
More
true.
often than not, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
Amtrak would appreciate them doing
And
it.
that's why they have slowed down. They've actually got it on a 30-mile speed limit because the track is moving it. So they know about the situation.
Okay.
Now to get them to move on it,
Right.
Can we stop them from going through?
I doubt it.
Well, if you can bring it up to the safety committee,
That's why I
that'd
wanted
be
to
good.
check with them and see what our avenues are.
Okay. And then we can, we'll figure it out from there. All right, awesome.
Is that freight as well as Amtrak?
Everything
Yeah,
goes,
everything goes over.
Okay.
but I think Pan Am owns the railroad and of course they
I think they own the line, yeah.
Yeah,
Pan Am.
so
Yeah,
Thanks for
you know what their,
they can be difficult at times.
Yeah.
Okay, so budgets.
All right.
Section B,
Good.
thank you, George, have a good night.
Thank you.
Town hall maintenance, portico, I have reached out again to Mr. Alley, who's on the historic committee and the planning board. I now know why he hasn't had time to respond. He's sent us an email, he's going to be out of town for several months.
Yeah.
He's moving out of town at least temporarily for now, for a job, and then, so we're gonna have to pursue other avenues, I think. So I will reach out to some other folks. See if we can figure that out. Perhaps, I thought I'd start with Peter Michaud, only because he has connections with Historic New England and the State Historical Resources, although he doesn't work there anymore. See if they have any suggestions for carpenters that might be able to give an estimate. All right. The transition plan. We, did it get printed out? No, I didn't print it out, but we should discuss, I'll pull it up on my phone, what, Suzanne has suggested as a transition plan after her departure. I know you were anxious to discuss it as well. Give me a second, I'll pull it up. You go ahead, you can let me know your thoughts if you want. what did I pull it, what promise on this? Promise.
Did I get copied on this?
Yeah, I remember she re-emailed it to us last Monday.
No, that's not.
Oh, that's right, sorry, you were on vacation, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
Let me see.
It was on July 31st at 7:49 a.m. Alright. So she had suggested that we needed to hire a part-time bookkeeper
Yeah.
and bump up our administrative assistant / bookkeeper, current bookkeeper's
Mhm.
hours. I know how I feel about this, but I'm anxious to hear what you have to say. I don't wanna
Well,
cover the conversation from the get-go. I'd
okay,
like to
but
hear what you think.
I know that Suzanne did a lot of work during the day
Yep,
and was here a lot.
yep.
So I don't know how you're gonna replace that time and from the select boards that are sitting here because we both work full-time.
Right.
So I think we have to at least increase Caroline's time. And that's only 5 hours, right? I mean, a week.
6 hours, I think, but yeah,
Okay,
close.
yeah. So I don't know if she can even cover all of what, I thought she was
It's 32
35.
32 hours a week.
Oh, she's
So
32.
if we went to 40, 8 hours.
Okay, so I don't know if she could cover that, you know? I don't know.
I guess I should have started the conversation, but I agree with you. I don't, I mean, looking at this again, and I have some real problems with some of the suggested cuts or places where they're proposing to get some of this money. I think that it is probably very reasonable and it's going to be very necessary, whether or not Suzanne left or not, that we need our administrative assistant to be here in more hours.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a conversation with her today, and some of the redundancies from a bookkeeper would be important from a managerial point of view. You know, we remember when Ed left as a select board member, he pretty much did everything. And when Beverly left as administrative assistant, she did everything. And those two people left at the same time, and we were left with a lot of learning and catching up to do. Because two people did everything, and there was no redundancies. So we don't want that to happen again. I don't think it's necessarily appropriate to add a new staff member in the middle of a fiscal year. I think that should be done through the budgetary process in the fall and in the winter time, to be honest with you. Although it may still be necessary.
Even if it's a temporary position
Yeah.
until budget?
I think honestly that with the increase in Caroline's hours, I think that we will be able to manage it. Will it be perfect? No. Will it require a little more effort on, at least my part, for the short term? Yes. But I think that's something that's going to happen.
Mhm.
I don't think it's, I am not going to support removing, well, what is it, $3,000 from community assistance when in good faith we made an agreement with these people that, can you imagine telling Cat that we're not going to give them their $1,000 and then the next week we're going to go and say, oh, by the way, you're going to pay the first month and last month's rent for one of our welfare cases? That's what we do all the time. And how could we do that? I mean, I couldn't do it personally. And, you know, bless her, I didn't want to argue with her when she was here, but I would talk to her about it now as a private citizen, but taking her stipend, I have a real problem with that. It's one-time money. It's not, it's a member of the board dictating how money that was appropriated one or other way should be spent. Last budget cycle, before you came on board, there was a very reasonable, I thought, proposal to provide dental insurance to town employees. Jody wanted to do this. I think still we should be trying to do this. It's important to retain good staff. She was willing to take her salary to fund that line, which is very noble, but it's not right. It's not how we should be doing municipal budgeting. And this, to me, is the same exact thing. And we poo-pooed that and said it wasn't allowed because that's not how we budget. I don't see why we would do it here then. What's the other thing? It's noble, and I applaud her for sacrificing, because she put a lot of work in, but it's not, if she doesn't want to collect the salary, that's different. But I don't think we should be doing it there. And professional services, I think we're gonna need, especially for legal.
Mhm.
I mean, between what's going on at, we'll cover that later in the agenda, what's going on Rollins Road, trying to solve that boondoggle at 112, I think it is, Rollins Road. We've got a compound that needs to be dealt with on Clement Road. I mean, that's been ignored for 40 years. And the man's coming in lap dance and said he's ignored us for 40 years. And there are other issues that we deal with from time to time. We have a bill here from McEnany Surveying that we haven't paid all the way. We need to discuss. I don't think it's prudent to take that money out of those professional services. Now, can we find, I've asked Caroline to figure out, this is my long way of pointing by saying I have to agree with her. I don't mean to, I want to strive at not pontificating for pontificating's sake at meetings and keeping the meetings going longer than they need to. But, and this is important, I think. I think we can find the money. It's approximately, what did I ask her? Let me pull it up. I'll give you the more exact approximation. I don't know if she CC'd you on it because
I am on it.
I wasn't sure if I was going to bring it up or not tonight, but how much do you see it right there?
I'm trying to,
Oh.
my computer's like slow
There it
down
is.
here.
I just keep saying I need to buy a new laptop and I haven't yet. Okay, so it's approximately $4,300, give or take a little, could be a little less, could be, oh, sorry, could be $100 more because of life and disability insurance. But okay, so let's just say for sake of argument, $3,400, or rather $4,400, which is certainly a stark contrast to the,
Just for Caroline.
that's just Caroline.
Okay.
That's to add the additional 8 hours, and that's through the end of the year. And then we can revisit this through regular order, through the budget process, which is what I think should happen. I mean, personally, that's why we have a budget process. Now, we all know that life happens, and we can't let the enemy, no, can't let whatever the saying is, perfect be the enemy of the possible, or whatever the saying is. But we should be striving to go through regular order, I think, through the budget process. That's just my opinion. So, but I agree with you, we need, whether she left or not, we still need the additional hours. And it'll be interesting, I'm pointing at the imaginary person who's not sitting there. When Lorraine Hanson came in, was it just last week, asking if we'd have a public hearing. I mean, that could be part of the process. Well, I'm listening to whether or not this committee thinks we need to have whatever form of additional administrative support. That's what we're playing in the back of my mind, what we have now and what we've had to increase and what further needs to be increased or doesn't need to be increased. So what I think should happen then, this is the payroll week this week. So it'll be okay if we make the formal decision next week to do this, because we don't start, we try not to start this unless it's in a beginning of a new payroll week. Because I want a more, this is just an estimate, I want a deeper dive to make sure she has all the right numbers. I don't want to approve the wrong numbers, so that's okay with you. But I agree with you, we need to increase her hours. And I asked her if she was willing to do it, but I don't want to just assume. That's the other part of the conversation we never had.
Yep,
You
yeah.
know, we had this imaginary bookkeeper that was gonna work 10 hours a week and, for not much money, and we were just assuming that our employee was gonna work those extra hours. I've asked her today and she confirmed that she would be willing if that's what our wishes were. So, that's also good to know. Now, Suzanne may have had that conversation, it just didn't, we hadn't had it with her, so she probably did, but just wanna make sure that we're all on the same page. So let's table that then, and if that's okay, we'll table till, next week when we get the final numbers. We're waiting on final numbers. Okay. And we're tabling the town hall portico. I apologize for going back in the agenda until I can find someone who can give us the information. Concom fund management, refer to NHMA email. Did we talk about this last week?
Oh,
We did?
yes.
Okay, so I just want to give a quick update. I'm not going to rehash what we talked about, but I've been emailing, and I believe I've been forwarding them to you.
Yeah.
With the treasurer, Vern Crozier, who is in agreement that this is, he needs to be the one writing the checks at the direction of the Concom, the majority of the Concom. What we found out though,
Wasn't that confusing?
it is confusing, yes.
Well,
So what
yeah.
we found out though, there are two accounts. And he's been giving us an accounting of the account that he pretty much knew about. I mean,
Right.
you can't expect someone to give us an accounting of an account that he didn't know we had license over. But he does apparently. So we've had Caroline checked at the bank. The signatories are us
I know.
and Vern. I apologize,
But I
the poor
don't
guy
understand
didn't
why-
realize that the treasurer had agency over it.
But why
In a
do we?
sense.
I thought it was the
I don't know.
commission.
So I think that we're still trying to figure it out, but we shouldn't have two different accounts, I don't think either. think they
Well,
should
no,
be
I think they should
consolidated.
just purge one and.
And I guess an argument could have been made at one time that you may get slightly better interest in the savings, but not anymore. So
Yeah.
neither of them are really interest-bearing accounts. So I would, assume that we should work with the treasurer and try to consolidate the
Yeah.
two accounts.
I
And
agree.
the Conservation Commission as well, of course, it was their fund, but, so it's still in the works. We're still trying to figure out.
But there is a signature card that says that we aren't in there.
Yeah.
Which I thought was only for the town, not for that.
Yeah. Well,
So
it
they
must,
must have changed
see,
everything.
I thought it was for, just for the checking, because I
Right.
wasn't aware of the savings account. I thought it was all one account too. so.
Well, I didn't think it was the checking for the conservation account, only for the town account.
Oh, you, that we're signing?
Yeah.
Yes.
So why, I'm
And,
really
well, I
quite
think we're-
confused about why we were on there.
We're trying to figure that out with citizens.
I think they might have changed everything they had town of Rollinsford.
so.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure that Suzanne has been removed as a signatory.
Oh, yeah. And that payroll thing got taken care of, right?
Yeah, that got
okay.
taken
All right.
care of, but. So, I just want to make sure everyone
Yeah.
knows that it has not been forgotten about. We will, and so when I say table, it's not to pass the buck, it's because we're actually working with the bank to try to figure out, and the treasurer, what the best course of action is.
So he should be able to speak to them because he's on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which
I-
he
well,
had
he
said he
didn't know,
wasn't.
but
He didn't know he was on
he
it,
was on it.
right, right.
You can't fault someone for
No,
not doing something if they don't know they're allowed
Yeah.
to do it. So, because he was very clear in his email to me, he was like, well, willing to help, but, they're very particular about what
No,
you're talking about.
and they are.
And fair enough, they
Yeah.
should be. But he's on there, so
Yeah.
we'll try to figure that out. Okay, moving on to D, transfer station, stickers from one vehicle to the next. Roman I, review proposed changes. So Caroline should have printed out for you
yeah.
the proposed ordinance changes. What I think would be helpful, and I think we can do it quickly this evening, is to go through them and show you, it's all in red. The majority of the changes are, I changed the selectmen to the select board,
Mhm.
because we're not all men, so I think it'd just be appropriate to reflect that. So that's those are the biggest changes, or the most consistent changes across the board. But if you go to page 2, section F, permit sticker, means an adhesive decal which when properly displayed on the windshield or front bumper of a motor vehicle, should have changed that. I didn't change that. It should be displayed on the windshield, which is stripe, or front bumper. Because they don't do it there anymore. Are displayed on the windshield of a motor vehicle, authorizes the lawful holder thereof to dispose of solid waste subject to the other provisions of this ordinance. No person may lawfully hold such a sticker except a resident of the town or a non-resident. In the new section that I've added is, comma, as authorized by the select board, because we do have, like, the village vet
Mhm.
has no place to put a even if he wanted to pay for a dumpster, he has no place to put it. So
Mhm.
he generates at most one little bag of garbage a week, he says, and sometimes not even every week. We've had no complaints from the transfer station employees. As authorized by the select board, who owns real property within the town, period. New sentence that I'm proposing we add. Permit stickers are transferable between vehicles registered to the same owner after paying a replacement fee as determined by the select board. And that will be in the fee schedule. We can get to that in a bit. Do you have any objections to those sections? Okay. H, a proper disposal. Means, this is existing language, with respect to solid waste, generally the disposition of solid waste at the facility and areas designated to receive that particular waste. With respect to recyclable materials, proper disposal means appropriate separation and preparation of items intended for disposal. Recyclables, as determined by the select board, must be separated and prepared as outlined by the board, period. It currently reads on the recycling handout, which is available both at town hall and the solid waste facility, which
It's not right now.
is not always available. So I think to be consistent, it just be as outlined by the select board, because, you know, we're changing, we've had to change the policy again this year to reflect the market, so I think it's safer just to do that. Any objections to that? Okay. Section 2, general use, I've added the word authorized businesses, because it just says businesses, which means any business in the town is allowed to do it, which is in contradiction to section above it, so I think that was appropriate. And in the same section, I've added, select board again, but all landlords operating in the town of Rollinsford with more than 4 rental units in a building must supply adequate waste removal for their tenants. Failure to provide adequate waste removal shall result in daily fines. It needs, I think I need to talk to Bob and see what, to be consistent with the other fines in town, but, how are we feeling in general about that? Does it sound reasonable that, because we know we ran into that problem of, we said, 4 or more. But so it has to be
Well, it's
consistent.
more than
Right,
4,
so to be
so-
consistent with
yeah.
the other ordinance that we just passed,
Yeah.
so we can enforce it. That sound reasonable?
No, I'm fine with it
Okay.
as long as we properly inform the landlords
Yeah.
that are having these buildings
Mhm.
up front and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm fine with it.
believe they wanted the building inspectors and code enforcement officers suggested it might be better to wait until this is updated.
Yep.
So, so it's consistent, so you can actually enforce it consistently.
Mhm.
So the only other change is then, on page, well, it doesn't have a page number, section 3, operation, I've substituted the select board for selectmen again. So user fees, when it talks about the permit, so it's $10 a year, I have not changed that, for 1 year. But it says it's payable at the beginning of each calendar year. Well, if you move in to Rollinsford in July,
Mhm.
it's rather impossible for you to have gotten a permit at the beginning of the calendar year. So I just submitted, or added, or at time of residency.
So you're gonna, so the fee isn't changing, you're just saying no matter when you become a resident, you will
Correct.
have to pay the $10
Correct.
for the rest of the year.
Right.
Okay.
Because I know that's been a bone of contention with the town clerk. Well, why didn't they come in and get this at the beginning of the year? Well, but if they didn't live here,
Yeah.
rather difficult. But that is what the ordinance says, they're supposed to do it then, so, which didn't seem feasible to me. Fines, I just changed select board, I swapped out board of selectmen for select board. Enforcement procedure, the Somersworth District Court doesn't exist anymore. It's gonna be difficult to send people there. It's the Circuit Court Dover District.
Mhm.
So we made that update. And every other change is substituting select men for select board, except for the last page where, I don't think Jody wants to sign it, it would be you.
Me, yep.
So. And, well,
have to
actually, we
take
gotta
Suzanne off
take
as
Suzanne
well.
off too.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you okay with me making those two change, that change and figuring out what fee is, or see if Bob thinks it's accept, well, he might be in tonight actually, to see if he thinks that it's okay just to say daily fines. But I wanna make sure we get this on the agenda.
Yeah.
I wanna make sure the notice is sent out, that's the next thing, notice for public hearing on 8/20 at 6 PM here.
And this public hearing is for what purpose?
For, to
Because you
accept-
have to, because you're changing an ordinance, okay.
And we have license to change this by the enacting authority under RSA 149A13
Okay.
and the town meeting of 1990.
So 8:20 is a Monday night, which is meeting at half an hour early.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the only other change though is under lost sticker. I've added a new section, you know, we've got like white goods, propane, tires. I have proposed lost sticker replacement fee of $5. Which seemed reasonable enough to me. I'm sure the general public will tell us if they do not think it's reasonable. So you're okay with sending this to, we'll do a motion to send this to public hearing?
I can.
Okay.
Or you're gonna wait until you get the,
Well, I want to make sure we can send the notice out, so,
okay, send the notice and then we can finalize it next week, if you have the fee in there, or you
Yeah.
can just put it in?
yeah.
Okay. What?
Are you okay with,
Bringing
sending?
it forward to the town meeting, to public hearing, yes.
Okay. I'll second that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, and then we can amend it if we need to. But-
Okay.
So I will inform Caroline and Tia that we're gonna have the public hearing on 8/20 at 6 PM.
Okay.
Non-smoking policy, I'd like to leave that on there, but I don't think we need to take it up just yet. We have a few other pressing things we need to deal with, but I don't wanna lose sight of
Do
it.
we need to do something with this, the road plan, or this?
Yes, it's on
still
here
down?
somewhere. Yeah, it's further down.
Okay, sorry,
No, we definitely do though.
Okay.
Recreation,
okay.
just a general update, I guess.
Oh, okay, this is the last week.
Yep,
Um,
very sad,
yeah,
at least for my one 6-year-old anyways.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's going really well. We did get a legal opinion on the pools. I still have to reread it. But I mean, bottom line is, as long as you follow safety and this and that, and they just, they're only this high, you know, but they just have to make sure.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We had blow-up pools down there, so I needed to get a Primex approval
Oh.
on it, just to make sure that
So
we're
liability,
covered,
okay.
and liability
Okay,
part of
not
it.
legal, okay.
So bottom line is, we're covered as long as we follow all the rules, so to say, you know.
Okay.
So,
There's a protocol for watching them and all that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that kind of stuff, so.
All right.
But everything went well. I did get an update from Dean on Camp Raleigh,
Yeah.
although I have many, many questions, so I'm gonna wait until next week when I can give you better answers.
Budget update?
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. I
yeah.
saw the email.
Yeah, I just, I was a little confused by a few things, so I want to talk to
Okay.
Caroline.
All
So
right, well,
make
we'll
sure
wait
that
for
they
that
both are giving each other
Yeah.
information. But, yeah, I think it went really, really well, so we're definitely gonna start working earlier
Okay.
on budget and,
Perfect.
for what's gonna be for next year. Everyone's still on the board, so.
It's certainly a learning process for
Yeah,
everybody,
for
right?
sure.
I mean, they've created I think, a very wonderful program out of thin air.
Mhm, mhm.
Certainly much different than what was there before.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they're trying, and I applaud them. There's
Yeah,
a
we
great
just,
volunteer spirit in
we
town.
have to be closer to, if, you know, if we don't want to have a town pay any by taxation, we have
Right.
to be better about
Yeah.
possibly increasing fees.
Yes.
So, and then kind of bucking me on that, but,
Well,
well.
as someone who pays them,
Yeah,
I will tell you that they are very, very, very reasonable.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we'll talk about it and we'll definitely work around, you know, try to get it, you know, and.
I get it, you don't wanna price out families, I understand that 100%, but I
Mhm.
think a modest increase could probably
I think so, I think so.
cover costs.
Or
and-
one less field trip, or just to
Something.
reduce your budget, you
Yeah,
know, there's
for sure.
ways around it,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
we're definitely gonna work early, Dee and I are gonna work on that together.
Okay.
And get the budget. for
Present,
this
get ready for the
Yeah,
budget season?
yeah.
Awesome,
So,
all right. G, 112 Rollins Road. So our legal counsel has sent a letter to the owner. It is an ongoing legal issue, so we won't talk about all particulars, but a letter has been issued
Yeah, I
with
saw
a date certain, so
mhm.
that there needs to be a reply. So we will await the response and see what our legal counsel suggests, but it certainly has not been forgotten. road project announcement, all right, so there's the back.
That's
That's
okay.
right, this is it, so Suzanne was kind enough to prepare a notice to go out on the town website and the email distribution list. It seemed good to me.
It did, I replied as well that it was good.
Okay, just updating folks on the major projects in town, the Woods Run, River Road, Roberts Farm, work that was done. Do you need the link emailed to you?
I'll send it.
Okay. George has had an idea of dealing with nuisance driveway culverts to encourage residents. He's still working on a plan. That's why she says stay tuned. But it may generate some interest from folks. Discussing that and then remaining projects that he is working on. Again, it says stay tuned, but at least let folks know that there's still some minor road repairs that will be going on. Although, I think, why don't we wait until after tomorrow? Because it may be a major, I want to be able to give folks an update on when Oak Street's going to be started. It's going to be sometime this week.
Yeah.
So we're sending out an email tomorrow anyways, or later tonight. Why don't we just wait and do it? The meeting's at 1 o'clock tomorrow, so
Okay.
we'll be going out tomorrow afternoon, just so they know that what day that's going to start, so folks can know to avoid Oak Street for a couple of days anyways, or at least a day. All right, so we'll hold that, but other than that, are we okay to send this out?
Yes.
Pending that? Okay.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it looked good.
Perfect. Road project announcement, okay, so it's a payment for Dover survey. Okay. So we've already paid for the actual survey. So for the last, well, at least 5 years that I've been sitting here, 4.5 years, we have been trying to decide where the Oak Street boundary is. And so we contracted Kevin McEnany and his firm to survey, and Dover paid for half, and we paid for the other half. Part of that was also setting boundary markers, granite markers, so we actually knew. And surprise, surprise, not just setting the monuments, but actually recording it at the registry, because this is a worthless piece of paper. Any of it's a worthless piece of paper unless you actually register it, record it at the registry. There were fees associated with that, and we knew they were coming. We just hadn't gotten them yet. So we got a bill in March, apparently. We've been holding on to it. It's $1,719.50. It was for additional research, updating the plans that were recorded on 10/2/17. And it gives you a book and page number if you want it. The actual recording fee for the update, locate the control. That is, you can't set the monument where it actually where it should be, because that would be the middle of you can't put a granite monument in the middle of Oak Street, right? So it's locating where the control would be, so you could offset from there, and then setting monuments where that offset would be. And that was completed on December 1st of 2017. So I would suggest we might want to pay Mr. McEnany for his work. And it's $1,719.50.
Okay.
Is that something that you were okay with?
Yeah.
We will
Make a
find it
motion.
somewhere in the budget.
Yep. I'll make a motion to pay, what is it?
McEnany Survey.
Survey Associates for $1,719.50.
I'll second that. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, let's pay Mr. McEnany for his work. Finally, are resolved, we finished the boundary dispute. Now, tomorrow I'm gonna work with him to start talking about the MOA,
Okay.
the agreement on maintenance.
Okay.
Winter maintenance, summer maintenance, that sort of
Yep.
stuff. We pay, we plow this part, and we plow another one. So
Right, right.
There's always an offset, so.
Yep.
That's what I'm gonna work on tomorrow afternoon with them.
You give that to me, I put it in here.
Alright, so we have paid that bill finally. Something to cross off the list. Transfer station post-closure report, I've started working on that today. With Caroline, I've got to reach out to the Department of Environmental Services, water, it's in the water unit, not the air quality, to discuss how to fill this form out that they told us we didn't need to originally. So stay tuned, we're going to table that until I have more
You know,
updates
it's
for you
still
next week.
in here, the report thing is still in here.
That's it, that's
Yep.
the, yeah, that's it, yeah. Yeah. I have an electronic copy,
Oh, okay.
but I need that, because that's one I actually have to fill
Yeah,
out.
this is,
It's a PDF, it's not one I can even.
yeah.
Okay, falls integrity, I want to leave this on. Mr. Clark is working to get a list of the conditions. They were never printed out and put in a file when they were approved by the planning board. We have a different process in place now, we get printed out when they get recorded. And they're kept in a file, but we didn't do that at one time, so. We are holding on for Mr. Clark to figure out if he can get a copy of those from the engineering firm that worked with Mr. Miller when he was developing the site plan down at Falls Integrity. So stay tuned there.
Okay.
Town administration, standing items. Board member activities, what do we have going on this week?
I don't know anything.
You're lucky for once. Knock on wood, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, tomorrow I'm going to meet with, like I said, the city of Dover, with their public works department and city manager. We'll start discussing how we're gonna handle Oak Street.
Mm-hmm.
And what the paving schedule might look like. We've already approved, obviously, paying that portion.
Mm-hmm.
George thinks he can manage it within his paving budget if he doesn't do the culvert work over on Sligo.
Which
He says he
sounds
doesn't
like
need
it's,
to.
yeah, it sounds like it's doing.
For this
okay.
year anyways, he thinks he wants to hold off, so he's the road agent. I'm not, we're gonna follow his advice,
Mhm.
so. That's what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't think, just my laundry list of things I need to work on, but that's part and parcel of the job, so that's what you signed up for. Or we signed up for. Anyway, all right. Building permits, we don't have any tonight anyways, but I'd like to revisit that at some point, not tonight, because I don't have the energy, but whether or not it's, at least read the list, it doesn't take that long. Anyways. So we do need to sign off though on the abatements for Andrea. These are the ones that we've already publicly announced. So we will sign off on them. There's 5 of them. The notices of whether or not they were getting or they weren't getting them. I believe
It's more than 5, isn't there?
these are the ones that are getting them, so I misspoke. These are the folks that Avatar thought deserved. the
Oh,
abatements.
okay. The other ones were just
They
denied.
were the denials.
Okay.
So they will become part of the public records. That's sent over to you quickly. Scribble, we can go into checks. Right, I think I got all 5 of them. And I think we'll go over a list of correspondence when we're done, and then we'll do the input, and we'll be done. It's the fire chief or the police chief come running in. Or anyone else.
You can look at that one.
Oh.
Okay, there.
Is it for legal,
It's a legal one.
very, very, very reasonable. I'm not.
Okay, so, do you want me to put, is there a folder for this to go in?
Yep,
there?
I'm
Oh,
gonna put
okay.
those back, and give that back to you, pay that bill.
So this is New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank. Caroline has a note here saying this is correct, see attached.
Okay,
the totals on the bottom of the attached page, interest and form. There's just a note saying that they don't have the last payment on there, so it just
Okay.
has to be signed. This is USDA, in accordance with the development pay program. You're required to submit a certain management financial information pertaining to the, to your facility at the end of the year. I believe we are the third bullet point, so I think all we need is audited financials of 218 and proof of insurance. So I will let, she's saying right there.
Oh, okay, this is for, in regards to the loan that we took out.
Yes.
For work last year, this year. Okay. Caroline provided information, and we'll sign it and send it off.
Okay, so this is a duplicate.
Yeah, we already took
Okay,
care of it.
very good. We'll put it together.
She said there was 2 copies of it.
All right. You ready?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, purchase order 1478, indoor accent, $220. This is for 19 camp activity, birthday party, I'm not sure what that means. But this was part of their budget.
Oh, quote unquote, so it's not like an actual one, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved purchase order number
Yep.
1478, I will, the indoor ascent. I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's one of those bouncy things. Indoor
Mhm.
ascent. Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, this is from the shipyard, Seacoast Shipyard Association to Suzanne inquiring whether the town of Berlin approves a request for 2018 allocation of $100 to the Seacoast Shipyard Association for the continuation of its work on behalf of Westwood Naval Shipyard. And there is a form to fill out saying yes, we did, or no, we didn't. We
It was
did.
part of the budget, yes, we
Yeah.
did. All right, are you okay with us signing off on still being part of the, yes, we did, we did,
Yep.
we budgeted $100. so.
Yep.
Funds will be released, when do we want to pay them? At the end of the year?
Yeah. They're not saying when, they're just saying, did we, so we just send it.
They
and
want to
we
know
did.
when they can expect a $100 check. We can do it this week if we want, it's only $100. We budgeted for it, so it's not
Yeah.
gonna break the bank or nothing.
Okay.
Are you okay with?
Yeah,
So we'd say we'll release it.
just go by the end of.
9/1.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but we don't know. State of New Hampshire, Department of Transportation, okay, so the following is the notification of the state highway block grant aid available to your town in state fiscal 2019. State highway block grant aid anticipated to be available to the town of Rollinsford. $59,777.52. Does that sound like it's correct? Okay.
So what we should do is hold
Budget.
2019. Correct, I think you're
Okay.
right. Read that,
Yep.
check it, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll put it there. Remember I'd asked a question, is the school part of the Townsend Energy?
Yes.
The school has the same proposal as last week, they had not yet acted on it.
Okay.
So are we gonna wait
I think we
or
should wait to make sure that
see
they
if the
do
school
it.
is doing it?
Yeah, because if not, we have better buying power.
Okay.
We, you know, pool with them and go with the same company.
Okay, you gonna sign this? Or is Caroline?
I'll wait until she provides the information before, I don't want to just sign it and,
Oh, okay, so it's a follow-up, okay. and this one is, that's complete, we should sign that one. And this is a couple of them. Okay, that's all I have. Yep.
Community input? All right, let's go home by consensus. The meeting is adjourned at 7:49?
Close enough.
All right. These ones will take it home. I know what I'm not supposed to work on. All right.
Mike, any bites on your
Yeah, we had someone